Hi, Tom Burmeyer here from hypothyroidismrevolution.com, and today we're going to talk about diet. Hypothyroidism diet. Now, just to touch on this briefly, because I get questions every single day by email, all of my clients always want to know when we first start working together is about weight loss. What do I have to do to start losing weight? I'm hypothyroid. I've tried every diet known to man, and I can't lose a single pound. But that's because most people, I should say, 99.9% of people have a very backwards mentality when it comes to weight loss. And I think that Dr. Schwartzbein sums it up best when she says, and I quote, "You don't lose weight to get healthy, you get healthy to lose weight." And we just have this backwards mentality that says that all of our health problems are caused by being overweight and that losing weight will just make all this stuff disappear. That's not true. It doesn't work that way. So everybody goes out there and they're cutting calories, they're eating less, thinking that all they got to do is lose a few pounds and then all of a sudden their health's going to be drastically better. But like I said, it does not work that way. Think about it. When you decrease calories, you're getting less nutrition, less nutrients to your cells, less nutrients to your thyroid, less nutrients to your liver, to all of these things that help regulate your thyroid. So less is not the answer. In fact, eating less and cutting calories only downregulates your thyroid even more. It's actually causing your thyroid to become more dysfunctional. It's making you more hypothyroid. Instead, we got to focus on maximizing your metabolism, maximizing your thyroid function. When you do this, then the weight will just come off naturally. It's a secondary effect. So improve your health and the weight will just come off. Now, today we're going to talk about 5 tips. We're going to talk about 5 hypothyroidism diet tips that you can start doing today. But before we do that, I want to talk about something that I think is very important, and it's understanding your diet and why your diet's even important. And I think this is where all doctors, nutritionists, naturopaths, you name it, this is where they go wrong. They're recommending diets that are popular, and they're not recommending diets that are based off of physiology. They're not focusing on what diets actually or what foods actually improve thyroid function and correct the underlying dysfunction that's inhibiting your thyroid. So, for example, stress hormones. There are good doctors out there that are beginning to realize that stress hormones play a very important role in suppressing your thyroid, making you hypothyroid. But then you turn around and they're recommending foods that disrupt blood sugar. Blood sugar is a very, very important topic because without balanced blood sugar, you cannot downregulate stress hormones. Balancing your blood sugar is the key to regulating stress hormones. But we don't do that. Why? Because they don't think about anything but the thyroid gland. We got to think about the liver because the liver is what's regulating your thyroid hormone. Your thyroid gland is putting out mostly inactive T4 thyroid hormone. Your liver takes that inactive T4 thyroid hormone and converts it into the active T3 thyroid hormone that your cells use, and therefore that's what improves your metabolism and gets your cells going, and in the end is going to help you lose weight. But we don't focus on that. When you're hypothyroid, your liver cannot store sugar properly. It cannot store glycogen. And that's what a healthy body uses to keep your blood sugar balanced throughout the day. It uses the stored sugar or glycogen in order to, secrete it as it needs to into your bloodstream to keep your blood sugar regulated and keep those stress hormones down. But like I said, when you become hypothyroid, your liver cannot store glycogen properly. It cannot store sugar. And it needs that sugar not only to keep your blood sugar regulated, but it needs that sugar to convert inactive T4 thyroid hormone to the active T3 thyroid hormone. This is physiology. This is what your liver needs in order to keep your cells happy. But everybody disregards these things. So this is really why nutrition becomes important, because there's no drug, there's no medicine, there's no medication or supplement, you name it. There's nothing out there that can help you regulate your blood sugar. There's nothing out there that's going to tell your liver to store more glycogen, to store more sugar that it needs to keep your thyroid healthy. We need to use foods therapeutically. We have to use foods to compensate and correct these underlying dysfunctions that are what really are making your thyroid suffer big time. So let's get into these 5 tips. Tip number 1, we need to increase fruit consumption. So why do we want to increase our fruit consumption? Well, that's because fruit is actually high in the sugar fructose. It has, most fruits are fairly high in magnesium and potassium, and all 3 of these things are very important nutrients to help us balance our blood sugar properly. When you keep your blood sugar balanced properly, then your body doesn't have to rely on large amounts of insulin to move all the sugar around. So, nutrients like these we can get from simply by eating more fruits and eating more fruit regularly in our diet to help keep our blood sugar balanced throughout the day. And that brings us to tip number 2, coconut oil. So why is coconut oil so important in your diet? For starters, it's a very healthy fat that everybody should be getting, and especially if you're hypothyroid. For starters, it helps to improve insulin response, meaning it's going to help you to balance your blood sugar. And we already talked about how balancing blood sugar is what helps to downregulate stress hormones and therefore increase or improve your thyroid function. But it also has a direct stimulatory effect on your thyroid, so that 30 minutes to an hour after eating it actually is going to give you a boost in thyroid function, almost like an instant boost that's going to help increase your metabolism. It's going to help improve your thyroid function, give you more energy at that time. But lastly, this is really important. There are a lot of so-called healthy fats out there that people are promoting, especially for heart health, that actually are really suppressive of your thyroid. And coconut oil can help to offset the effects of those fats in your diet, meaning that it's going to help block the thyroid suppressing effects and therefore help your thyroid with that respect. And that takes us to tip number 3, which is shellfish. So why is shellfish so important? It's honestly important for a number of reasons, but we'll just touch on this briefly. For starters, it really will help your thyroid. It has all of the nutrients necessary to really help your thyroid produce adequate thyroid hormone. So, and that's just the start of it. We talk about the liver and how the liver is required to convert thyroid hormone. Well, shellfish is actually, or I should say, also higher in selenium, and selenium is one of the key ingredients. Selenium in sugar is what your liver needs in order to convert this inactive T4 thyroid hormone to the active T3 thyroid hormone. So we really need to get a good amount of selenium in our diet, and a great source of that is shellfish. And that brings us to tip 4, which is stop drinking so much water. When you're hypothyroid, you really have to watch how much water you're drinking. Everybody thinks that, the solution to losing weight is just to drink more water and we got to detox and all this stuff, but they're not thinking about the real underlying physiology behind what we're doing with water. It's a known fact. Hypothyroid people, their cell membranes become weak and absorb water. Your cells become waterlogged, and that's why everybody walks around with so much edema. Weight loss for a large degree is not necessarily fat, it's retained water. So if your cells are retaining water, then why keep drinking more and more water? It just doesn't make sense. What we need to do is we need to focus on correcting the cells, keep the cells energized so that they release the water and they get rid of the water. So it's really important, don't overdrink water. Drink based off your thirst. Your body will tell you when you're thirsty, and drink when you're thirsty. And that brings us to the 5th and final tip that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about coffee. Now, coffee is a bit more of a controversial topic, and there's a lot of people out there that will say that coffee is the worst thing you can drink if you're hypothyroid, because they'll say it inhibits your thyroid. Well, that's just not necessarily true. Now, if you drink it incorrectly, then yeah, it can disrupt your blood sugar, elevate stress hormones, and inhibit your thyroid. But we can also use it therapeutically. We can use it therapeutically as long as it's balanced properly to help stimulate your cells to improve your metabolism. We talk about how we need to get more nutrients to your cells. Well, that's how we can do that. We can use coffee to get more nutrients to your cells, which will help improve thyroid function. But we have to do it in a balanced proportion. So a lot of it has to do with drinking coffee with the right ratios, with the right foods, balancing everything that we need to balance. And that is really, really key. Now, I really hope you take advantage of these quick and simple tips, because these tips alone can actually make quite a difference if you put these to use. And for more information on how to use diet and foods such as these to properly overcome hypothyroidism naturally, or you can get my free reports just by visiting my website at www.hypothyroidismrevolution.com. Bye for now, and I look forward to bringing you some more tips soon.